Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to go over Monday Night Football for the NFL Monday, September 29th. And as you can see, the odds are on the screen. New York Jets versus Miami is the first game. The second game is Cincinnati versus Denver. And let's go over the opening odds real quick. Let me pull up my notes. Plus 190 for the New York Jets and minus 230 for the Miami Dolphins. And as you can see, the numbers on the right have been reduced. 1 plus 90 is 91, 19 plus 0 is 19, and 1 plus 9 plus 0 equals 10. And that's how we get these values here. And what we do with that, we apply that to any sort of numerological parallel that we find. We compare the numbers and see if we find any parallels that'll help aid us into determining a spread, total, or ML winner, moneyline winner. Currently, the money line is plus 132 for the New York Jets, minus 156. Let's see if that holds up. This is as of early Monday morning. As you can see right now, it has changed. Minus 126 and minus 148. And I'm pretty sure it has changed because the splits have changed or the news has changed. But we'll go over that real quick. So we'll add that to our notes. We will go minus 126. That is where it currently is. Or plus 126, excuse me, and minus 148 for the Dolphins at home. Alrighty, that's where it is currently. And the splits at the bottom are where the plus 132 minus 156 were, which were the odds about an hour ago. Alright, the spread looks like this. Let me just pull it up on FanDuel. New York Jets plus 2.5, minus 102 costs going with the Jets on the road. Miami minus 2.5, 2.5 point favorites at minus 120 cost. Over under 44.5 going over, minus 108 cost. Under 44.5, minus 112 cost going under. All right, let's go over this real quick. We'll go over the second game in a moment. Let's clear this one first. Odds movements. We record odds movements as part of our process, something we do on the Patreon. This will all be in the description. Normally I'll leave it on the Patreon, but this will all be in the description as we go forward. All right. First, I want to show you. First, let's go over the expected value, because that is based off the opening and the current. And the current is based off the plus 132 minus 156, plus 132 for the Jets, minus 156 money line odds for the Dolphins. But we'll go over the opening real quick. 33% win percentage on the opening and 33% for the Jets and 67% win percentage for the Dolphins. And that is based off the plus 190 minus 230 opening odds. And that gives the New York Jets a negative $4.30 expected value, and Miami expected value negative $3.87 expected value. Jets win percentage 41% currently. Dolphins win percentage 59% currently. That is based off the plus 132 odds for the Jets and minus 156 for the Dolphins before they changed a few minutes ago. Minus $4.88 expected value for the Jets, minus $3.18 expected value for the Dolphins. And the expected value is literally just a rate of increase. But the proper definition is the measure of what a bettor can expect to win or lose on each bet placed on the same odds time and time again. Expected value, probability of winning X amount won per bet. And well, that's the formula. That's the formula below it. And that's the expected value based off $100 wagers. And currently, the odds here, the splits here, as of an hour ago, 27% win percentage for the Jets on the money line, 73% for Miami. The Jets are getting 33% of the money on the money line and 67% of the money going to the Dolphins on the money line. All right, spread. Spread is at 2.5 points, favoring the Dolphins. 45% on the betting going to the Jets, 55% going to Miami. Same thing with the money, 45 to the Jets, 55% to Miami. Now the total is at 44.5. The cost is at minus 108 here on the over, minus 112 on the under. And that is 31% on the betting going over. Under is getting 69% of the betting. Percentage of money, over is getting 40, under is getting 60 on the money. So the percentages are very similar, especially because of the low spread, are very similar pretty much across the board as far as the betting and the money. Normally it's a little bit distant, especially in the NFL, but this Monday it has been just about the same, just about similar, that is. And let's go over the odds movements from Monday to Thursday, and we just went over now. All right, Monday, 9/22. The New York Jets were at plus 132, minus 156. 19% betting percentage going with the Jets. 8% of the money going with the Jets on the money line. Minus 156 money line for the Dolphins. 81% betting going in their direction. 92% of the money going with the Dolphins. The spread was not available at that time on Monday. On the splits were not available at that time on Monday. So we'll halt that a little bit. Total odds movements from Monday: over 44.5, minus 110 cost even. Same thing with the under. 34% betting going with the over, 44% money going with the over. Under is getting 66% of the betting, 56% of the money going with the under in that one. That is as of Monday. Moneyline odds for Thursday, 9/25. Plus 130 for the Jets, minus 154 for the Dolphins. 25% betting percentage for the Jets, 75% for the Dolphins. 15% betting percentage on the money for the Jets, 85% of the money going with the Dolphins. So Miami's odds decreased as a favorite. So did their money in this one. 75% betting, that went down from 81%, and their odds went down to minus 154. But we will test this new plus 126 minus 150 minus 148 that it is on currently. Total spread odds movements from Thursday, 9/25. 2.5 point underdogs were the Jets at minus 102 cost. Gives them 47% betting and 53% of the betting going with the Dolphins as 2.5 point favorites at minus 120. 35% of the money going with the Jets, 65% of the money going with the Dolphins on Thursday. Total odds movements from Thursday: over under 44.5 points at minus 112 cost going over, 44.5 points at minus 108 going under. 39% betting percentage for the over, 61% betting percentage for the under. Over was getting 44% of the money at that time. 56% of the money was going to the under on Thursday. All right, let's go to the next one. Of course, if you want my picks, they will be on the Patreon. Link is in the description and in the video. Cincinnati versus Denver. Plus 110 going with the Bengals on the opening odds. Minus 130 going with Denver on the opening odds. Currently, Cincinnati moneyline plus 360, minus 460 going with the Broncos at home. It still holds up. It still holds up as we speak. Plus 360, minus 460. As you can see right there. Numbers have been reduced just in case we need to apply it to anything. Spread currently is at 7.5. I'll just show you on here. 7.5. Underdogs are the Bengals at minus 108 cost. 7.5 point favorites are the Broncos at minus 112 cost. Over under 43.5. Over is getting the minus 118 cost. Under is getting 43.5 and minus 104 cost. All right, let's see where. Scroll down. Let's go over the expected value based off those opening and current odds. Opening based off the plus 110, minus 130 gives Cincinnati a 46% win percentage, Denver a 54% win percentage. That gives Cincinnati a negative $3.40 expected value. That gives Denver a negative $4.46 expected value. All right, currently based off the plus 360 minus 460 favoring Denver. 21% win percentage for the Bengals, 79% win percentage for the Broncos. Minus 340 for Cincinnati expected value, negative $3.40 expected value. Denver expected value, negative $3.83 expected value. And the definition formula and is based off $100 wagers is below it. Now let's go over these splits. All right. 5% of the betting and 6% of the money on the money line going with the Bengals. So Bengals are not getting too much love on the money line. Percentage of bets spread, 33% going with the Bengals, 67% going with the Broncos. Percentage of money, 24% of the money going with Cincinnati, 76% going with Denver. Over under total looks like this, 36% going over, under is getting 64. Percentage of money, over is getting 53, under is getting 47. All right, let's go over the odds movements. Now, this one didn't have any blanks like the other one. The other one didn't have that spread for Monday. This one did have it. All right, let me scroll down to not cause confusion. All right, Monday, 9/22, Cincinnati odds movements, plus 290 at 6% betting percentage, 5% betting percentage, 94% betting percentage going with Denver at minus 360. 5% money going with Cincinnati at plus 290. Minus 360 is getting 95% of the money. As you can see, Denver's even more of a massive favorite, and that those odds haven't really changed. The splits haven't really changed. So just keep that in mind on who you think is going to win that. Think like a bookie. Think like a sports book. How could they make more money? And that's how you determine who's going to win these games. Spread odds movements. Monday, 9/22. Plus 7.5 points for the Bengals. Minus 7.5 point favorites are the Broncos. 7.5 point underdogs are the Bengals. Minus 115 cost going with Cincinnati. Minus 105 cost going with Denver on the spread. 65% betting percentage going with the underdog. And 35%, going with of the betting going with Denver. 40% of the money going with Cincinnati on that spread. 60% of the money going with Denver on Monday's spread. Last Monday, that is. Total odds movements. Monday, 9/22. Over under 44.5. Minus 115 going over on the cost. Minus 105 going under. 28% betting percentage going with the over. 72% betting percentage going with the under. 33% of the money going with the over. 67% of the money going with the under. Now let's see how those adjusted by Thursday. Cincinnati money line odds plus 295 from Thursday, minus 370 for Denver from Thursday, 9/25. 5% betting percentage going with Cincinnati, 95% betting percentage going with Denver. 2% money going with Cincinnati, 98% money going with Denver. Spread odds movements Thursday, 9/25. Plus 7.5 and minus 110 cost going with the Bengals. 7.5 point favorites at minus 110 cost. So you can see the cost even out as the betting percentage evened out. It went from 65% betting, 35% betting to 51% betting to 49% betting, home to away, Bengals to Broncos. That gives 16% of the money going with Cincinnati now instead of the 40%, 84% going with the Broncos instead of the 60% from Monday. So that has changed significantly, and the odds changed as well. Denver increased in the negative 110 here, but this 7.5 point spread is always dangerous because they lose by a touchdown. Cincinnati still gets that spread. Total odds movements dropped by a point on Thursday and currently. Over under 43.5 points. Over is getting minus 115 cost. Under is getting minus 105 cost. Same for Monday. And currently, as you can see, it is minus 118 as it is this Monday, and minus 104 going under. Minus 118 going over, but currently, as of Thursday, back to Thursday. 34% betting percentage going with the over. 66% betting percentage going with the under. 38% of the money going with the over. 62% money going with the under. And those are your odds movements. And yeah. Now, how do you apply this? Adjust where the costs are going. Sorry about that. Adjust where the costs are going. Look for where the costs are going. How do they adjust based off the splits? But sometimes that's just not enough. As I told you, 3.5, 7.5, and 10.5, and 13.5 are very, 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 very difficult odds to try to bet on, because that's what the game is predicated on, those types of values. 3, 7, 10, 14, those types of numbers. Sometimes 6.5, sometimes 14.5, sometimes 11.5, things like that. But always beware, 9.5 that is. But always be careful of the 7.5 point spreads. And don't jump too quickly to go with the favorite or the underdog in that instance. You got to analyze and use your intuition. But if you want my picks, they will be on the Patreon. We'll be doing touchdown props. We'll be doing quick parlays today. 2 games today. And then we got MLB tomorrow starting postseason. MLB postseason starts tomorrow. But let's scroll down a bit. Let me see. Okay, I didn't go over the current splits. 5% of the betting going with Cincinnati on the money line. 95% going with Denver on the money line. 6% of the money going with Cincinnati. 94% of the money going with Denver. So not much different than it was last week, especially on the money line. Now percentage of on the spread splits. 33% going with the Bengals. 67% going with Denver. 24% of the money going with Cincinnati. 76% going with Denver. Over under looks like this. 36% going with the over 43.5. Under is getting 64% of the betting. Over is getting 53% of the money currently. And under is getting 47% of the money. So that has definitely changed. The total has changed since as far as the money percentages has changed significantly since Thursday. So just keep that in mind. And the odds movements, minus 118 going with that over. On Thursday, the over was at minus 115. And the over is now at 53%. So just keep that in mind, how those odds adjust. The cost increased for the over. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Pray every day. I've been Scott. Join the Patreon. Link is in the description in any video. And yeah, we'll be doing props as well, parlays as well. And we're heating up for MLB. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys take care. Pray every day. I've been Scott.